Hello, YouTube, and hello, Instagram community. How are you all doing? Corinne Clapham here, Intuitive Wellness Guide. Today, we're going to talk about releasing ancestral patterns. So, what does that even mean? So, when we tend to notice that we have a lot of patterns, unhealthy patterns playing out, or people are struggling in terms of like no matter what they do, they seem that they're still struggling financially, they seem like they're still struggling maybe in the love department or in the health department. And so, there's a couple of layers why these patterns would keep going. So, one, it could be within our own journey that we need to heal and resolve that. Two, it could be running from our own belief systems. Three, it could be running from belief systems that we've adopted since we're younger and growing up older. Um, Four, it can be from our past lifetime and we haven't healed that yet, so it's still playing out in this lifetime. Or five, this is what's been passed down from generation to generation and from the ancestors. However, when we do the inner healing work, we are literally shifting and breaking those chains from continuing, not only in our own life, but in the future generations to come, and also into setting our ancestors free as well. So how do we discern, how do we know what is the difference between where these patterns are coming from? Now, first off, it comes with awareness. Okay. So when we have the awareness of something that keeps playing out, or what our thoughts are in our head, which is pretty much showing us and telling us what our belief systems are. It's telling us our belief systems, but what we see happening in our reality is showing us what those are. And so when we can see that and observe that, we can see, where did we first get that from? Where did we adopt that from? Is that from a personal experience we had, and so we created a belief system around it? Is it from, maybe we learned it from TV, or maybe at school, or someone else, or maybe our parents? Okay, so that can tell us from that point of view. Now, when it comes to our past lifetime stuff, where we can get to know and differentiate that's where it's coming from is if we take a look at fears that we have, but we don't have a logical reason where that fear came from. Like, someone has a fear, but nothing happened in this lifetime to really project that fear, to have that fear come alive. And sometimes where that's from is from our past lifetime. Okay, especially when it's very visceral, when you can really feel it, that can usually come from our past lifetime. Excuse me. And how do we know when it comes from our ancestors? So we could trace back the themes in the past you're struggling in, and then take a look at, okay, do we see similar themes and patterns? Doesn't necessarily have to be the same story, but the same themes or patterns that have played in our parents or maybe our grandparents. How would we know that? Maybe from stories that our parents or grandparents have told us, or our grandparents told us about their parents. It could be us actually seeing those patterns playing out within our parents or our grandparents. Now, how do we know about it coming from our ancestors? Again, it's slightly different. It's slightly different than our past lifetimes, because the feeling is a little bit different. With past lifetimes, it can feel very, very real, right? Because we've already lived through that. We still kind of carry that blueprint of that trauma or that heavy emotion. It can be good emotions too, right? It's not like everything is bad from back then, but we're talking about the unhealthy patterns that we want to release. So when it's coming from our ancestors, sometimes we can feel it, whether it's like body pain, or it can be emotions, or again, I say irrational fears, but what I mean by that is that, again, this is not something that we live through. And so, like, where would this fear come from? For example, like, my dad loves watching history. He can watch those shows all day long. I can't even listen to it. It invokes something in me. So that's either because in a past lifetime I was in one of the wars, which I know my dad was too. but he had a different experience perhaps to it, and that's why he's able to watch it. Whereas maybe my experience is very different, and that's why I'm like, even hearing it, it just like invokes a lot of uncomfortable emotions. Um, but then it can also be triggers from our ancestors as well. And so you really kind of have to feel in and tap into it. It's kind of like when we're starting to learn how to discern between our mind and ego versus our intuition and gut. It's like no one can really tell you that. That's something that you have to learn through the language of the feeling and the words and the belief systems and your intuition and knowing. So when we implement different things to release these patterns, Yogi Bhajan says, when we're doing the work to do that, we're not only freeing ourselves from this, but we are from 7 generations, 7 lineages back, and 7 future generations lineages forward. This is why this work is so important, because the more we all do this, we are setting ourselves free, our ancestors free, but the future generations to come. And this is what we're heavily focusing on now. We are evolving this whole world as individuals and as a collective, right? This is a job for everybody to do. It doesn't matter where you come from. Like, none of that matters. We all have this peeling to do, and resurfacing a new, fresh energy and new healthy patterns moving forward. So this full moon, which is July 20, what's the date today? 23rd is the full moon if you're on Eastern time. And we just did the live full moon awakening event today on Thursday. Sometimes I do them a couple of days prior, depending on the intuitive senses when I'm guided to do it. And also, if it's a very strong moon, I like to do a couple of days prior, because we're already doing the inner healing. And then when the energies get even stronger with the moon, it's just a lot smoother ride. So in this full moon awakening, which is still accessible for you to get in on it if you've missed the live, you can get access to the replay until, let me look at my calendar here, Friday. Yeah, till Sunday, the doors are open to register for it. And I highly suggest it. As soon as you register for it, you'll get instant access to the recording. And we did so much amazing work in that. And so we did it in various different ways. By the way, I go in a lot more description about all this in it. I also go into the current astrological wisdom and how that affects us here on Earth, and what's to come for this next moon cycle within that. But when it comes to releasing patterns, we did a very strong potent exercise in releasing the patterns, but also clearing out all the heaviness that we've been carrying out, breaking the chains, clearing out any vows or contracts that we've made in this lifetime or in past lifetimes. And it's very interesting. A lot of people don't realize how easy it is to make one, and not even realize it half the time. And I know this because through my journey work, healing on a cellular level, when I work with people and we tap into the cellular memory of where it rooted from, the unhealthy patterns and pain and physical and emotional discomfort that they have, sometimes it roots back, or like the blockages that they keep having. When we tap into the cellular memory and where that had been created, sometimes it's from vows and contracts, and we didn't even know we made them. Like, it's not like we intentionally made it. It's just like the wording. And so we also did a nice ritual to clear out any and all of those as well. And then we also did another really powerful exercise of releasing the ancestors free from these patterns, releasing ourselves from it, and releasing the future generations. And then, of course, I usually always include a nice Tao blessing for you to receive, and an oracle message to carry you forward on this next moon phase. So I will put it in the description box below if you're on YouTube. And it'll also be on Facebook. But also, if you're on Instagram, you can find the link in the bio. So I highly suggest registering for it as soon as you can. Like I said, you'll get access to the replay right away. And then you'll have access to that replay for over 2 weeks. However, the registration door is only open until this Sunday. Okay, so if you have any questions, reach out to me personally. I love you all so much. This is such much needed work. I've started to delve into this years ago. I didn't even realize I was doing this kind of work many years ago through my own healing. And then I started consciously doing this work about 5 years ago. And then, this past couple of days before every moon event, I always get a very strong intuitive hit what is much needed by those who attend. And this was just extremely prevalent. And so I've made this available for people, and you can register and do the work. And I really suggest when you register to any of my moon awakenings, like I said, you have access to it for 2 weeks. The registration door is never open for 2 weeks, but the access to it once you've already registered, do it every day. Like these are daily, these are very strong exercises you can do that you can implement into your sadhana, your daily practice. And so quite often when we pick up something to do for our sadhana, our daily sadhana, we want to do it for 21 days minimum. Some people say 41 days. However, these are tangible things that you can implement, and you have me guiding you there through video. So doing this kind of work and showing up will transcend your path tremendously, especially now during this time when there's so much that is, we're just closing out old cycles that don't work anymore. We're doing it individually, we're doing it collectively, we're doing it in the systems. And so this will help to make things so much more smoother in your path and connect you with your higher self to be led by your intuition, which is so important these days to really connect with that instead of going to the external for things, for example, like the news and social media and all that. We have to start tapping into ourselves, because that's where you're going to get the innate wisdom without it being cluttered with other biases. Does that make sense to you? All right, my friends, I will see you soon. Much love. I will also put my website down there so you can always keep in the loop when there's future moon events coming up. I also do them. Sometimes people hire me for like a bachelor party or just a group of friends who want to either have a yoga private group session or psychic oracle readings or moon ceremony. So if you're looking for that, you can always reach out to me. We can have a conversation, see what it is you're looking for, and I can let you know different options that would be best fit for you and your group. All right, my friends, let's just keep healing, growing, and having fun at the same time, shall we? Much love. Live life.